Hey guys, I welcome you all in today's class. So in today's class, we are going to start working on the finishing, jointing and taping procedure, in which we already fixed metal, then we already fixed our gypsum board, and now because we basically connected the number of gypsum board together, so we need to just cover their joints. Okay, so in order to cover the joints, we are using two components. First is we are using the tape, okay, and the second thing, on the top of this tape we are using the joint compound. Okay, so how we can quantify it, that is very important, and you have to pay a little more attention as compared to what we already did in our previous classes. So here you can see that after board is finished, so this is called as the joints. So these are the joints basically that need to be covered, and we also need to cover the screws. Okay, this is minimal, but we need to consider it as well. Okay, so in order to do this, as you can see, this is called the tape, and it is a kind of tape the same as like any other tape, and this is basically the joint compound, where once we fix this tape, on top of this we need to basically provide this joint compound. Okay, so we are start working on it. So first of all, I will just talk about the fiber tape. Okay, so the standard length is 90 meters. Okay, so in one tape we have 90-meter length, we can cover it out. So this is very important, you also need to consider it. Okay, so what is the concept? The concept is very simple. So if you have one gypsum board, okay, so for example we have this gypsum board in which it start from here and it is up to this point. As we already discussed that our gypsum, the size of our gypsum is 1.2 meter into 2.4 meters. Okay, so our joint, as we already mentioned, and I already mentioned it with you, that we need to cover all the four corners. Okay, for example, so if this is, if I consider this as a board, I am going to color it. Okay, so this area I covered it already, and consider this is a gypsum board. So from here, the length of this particular side is 2.4. Okay, and here if I consider that the length is basically 1.2 meters. Okay, so what it means basically, so these length to opposite side is exactly identical. It's mean it is, if it is 2.4 meters here, the same we have on this side. So if it is 1.2 meter here, we have same length on this side. Okay, so it's mean that we need to tape from this side, then we will move here, then we will move in this direction, and then we will move in this direction. So this is the very simple interpretation. Okay, so in which what we need to do first, we need to get the perimeter of the board. Okay, so what it means basically, that first of all I need to consider how many boards. So I have 15.5 boards, so I will just link it with 15.5 board into multiply. And what is basically the perimeter of this full board? That is 2.4 plus 1.2 plus 2.4 plus 1.2, which means that our total length is 7.20 meters. Okay, so what it is basically showing, that for this full length for 15 boards, how much linear meter we need, we require the fiber tape. It is 110.88 meters. 110.88 meters. Okay, so you need to provide 10% additional, and if you want to convert this into the number of rolls that is required, that we simply need to do equal to divided by 90. So we need 1.23 fiber tape rolls in order to cover all this four side of 15 boards. Okay, so if you want to, we are using the same kind of fiber tape, so better you just add it up the second one, that is 5.5, and just close the bed. Okay, So as you can see that my quantity is already increased. So now I need 150.485 bacteria. Okay, so this is 1.672. So we can consider it as a 1.67 roll of fiber tape we required, and we can add 15% again with the length. So I will just add it 10% additional as a wastage. So as you can see, it is coming as 165. So you can consider it, instead of copying this formula, just bring it here. So I need at least two rolls to cover this entire ceiling for dry area plus wet area. Okay, so I hope that this is very interesting and you understand it quite easily. So we will do the same procedure. Okay, in the same procedure, what we need to do, we will just mention that our total area is 51.94, and we need 1.83 meters, or we need 100 165.52 uh, linear meter length. For how much area? It is 51.94. The size of one board is 2.88 square meter. Okay, and the length is, as you know, there 7.2 meters. So what you need to do, equal to 7.2 meters divided by 2.88 meters, it's 2.5. So it's mean there is something that is we need to consider. Here we consider without the wastage. So this 2.5 factor, you can consider it. Okay, so this is basically the method how to calculate the tape. The second thing is joint compound. For the joint compound, we are not basically calculating anything. However, the formula is same. Okay, but joint compound is something that is basically changes according to the place and according to the skill of the carpenter. For the joint tape, our joint tape will also be at the same point wherever we have the tapes. So all the things will be the same. The only thing is the thickness. For example, if we have joint over here, so it's mean on top of it we need to provide the joint compound. So in order to do this, I already consider this with the collaboration of many parties. So I put all this material as a comparison. So they are saying that for ready fixed joint compound we need 0.25 kilogram per square meter. Okay, so after careful calculation, I received this information from site team, from manufacturer, from my own experience, my calculation. So it is 0.25 is enough to cover 1 square meter of the area. Okay, so this fiber tape is basically you will get in a bucket, and the size in which you will get 28 kilogram of what? 28 kilogram joint compound you will receive. Okay, so this 28 kilogram joint compound is made up of one bucket. Okay, and to cover 1 square meter we need how much? 0.25. In other words, what we need to do, we will just simply add this together. It's equal to this plus 30. Okay, multiply by, here it is the multiply by 0.25. So it's mean that we need 12.98 kilogram. It's mean we need half bucket to cover this full area. Okay, so this is basically the calculation. And whenever you start working on this joint compound, you also need to consider the skill of the carpenter, how he's using. The wastage factor is also there. So these things you need to consider it over there. Okay, so these are the most significant items that we need to require, okay, in order to get the quantities. And in next class we will just try to structure all these factors, and then we will use it in our future when we start working to calculate the material in future. We will use these factors like 0.87 0.61, then 2.75, again that is 6.64, 0.48, and 3.18, and 0.25. Okay, so this is all for today's class. In next class we will just try to get something more estimation tricks that will make your work quite easy. Thank you so much.